The opening 44 measures of Gabriel Fauré's incredible Impromptu number 5 in F sharp minor. This is an incredible piece of utmost virtuosity. I consider it an etude piece. It's 2 minutes long and it's filled with pyrotechnics and acrobatics like no other piece I've ever seen. Fauré wrote this piece in the year 1906 intentionally to write a piece built on whole tones. That was the vogue movement at the time. He'd already, though, explored the writing of whole tones with his previous Impromptu number 4. But this piece takes it to another level because the entire piece is built around whole tones and half steps, which is chromatic, and occasional diatonic, which is the traditional major and minor, although there's really no major in this piece at all. F sharp minor, starting with this pattern. That doesn't sound at all like F sharp minor, does it? Well, it isn't. The opening, 4 notes for the left hand and 4 notes for the right hand, combined make these 8 notes. And that is pure whole tone writing. That's one of 2 whole tone scales. The other, there are only those 2, and he's going to use them both in the piece. But he's starting with this one. And if I break this down slowly for the analysis, you heard me play it up to tempo. Slowly, what is in here is really very complicated. We have a mantra of 3 whole half notes that are coming down like this on the beat notes. Repeats. And then those are 3 whole tones. Half step. Half step to end and down the octave. Kind of sinister. And then a whole series of whole tones, ending with a surprise half step. That's your outline for the whole first page, with just the beat notes, verse beats. This is in 2/4 time. He starts the piece on the upbeat. This is very interesting. The whole structure of page 1 is with the upbeat 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1, like that. Going slowly, we have, and this is the F sharp natural minor scale to close the first phrase. Then it repeats again, almost the same, but this time the left hand crosses over. And to close with F sharp melodic minor scale. Then the next series, second beat, upbeat. Now new chords in the bass. Beautiful. And notice that I'm holding down with my thumb those half notes in measure 9 those left-hand chords, we have, and then the repetition, and a half step. And then, and then a total surprise. Augmented. I'm going to show you what I'm looking at here. It's with great pride and privilege, actually, that I feel, having been able to do this, to re-engrave the entire piece as has never been done before. This is a new engraving. It's the exact same notes as any other edition you'll find, but it looks completely different. 11 by 17 inch horizontal landscape format. And what that allows me to do, I made this up, is to get these enormously long phrases all in one line. I call these systems. System 1, System 2, System 3, and System 4. This has made an incredible difference for me in learning the piece, learning how to practice it, breaking it down. These are all broken down for you in nice little bites to practice and get in your finger memory and get in your intellectual understanding of the piece. Your copy, this is mine marked up for the lesson, looks like this. Complete, pristine, pure, black and white, with lots of open space. Now, if you didn't read music, but I told you that this was left hand and this is right hand, you could see that the piece is alternating very regularly for the body. Left hand, right hand, left hand, right hand, left hand, right hand, left. That's your opening phrase. The repetition, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. The next phrase. So it's just laid out for you so beautifully. You get to see really what the piece is of bilateral motion for the body, absolute equal writing for the two hands. A really virtuoso piece, wonderful piece. Now he wrote something with an approach in mind, but turning it into, I think of this as a fantasy piece. It's almost like a hummingbird in flight. It's in the air for 90% of the piece. In fact, it only rests twice in the whole 2-minute piece. At the end of that first 44 measures that I played for you, and then right before the end there's a teeny little rest. But otherwise it is non-stop 16th notes for the entire piece. Let me play it at a medium tempo, and we see if you can hear the pattern of half notes. Repeat up a step. Of length. Surprise, augmented. And these chords coming down in the bass are so absolutely beautiful. The whole tone, these are tenths. The other chords notes in, and this is the chord that is here in the blocked chord form. You see how frightening that is when that augmented comes? The soprano, the right hand, these are clusters, 4-note clusters. It's a great way to practice. I'll tell you, being written in 1906, this, we don't have a lot of literature for the solo classical piano in whole tone writing. This just within the last 100 years. And so as pianists, our training comes primarily from pieces that were written before this period. So our fingers aren't used to whole tones, and they feel and play completely different than diatonic traditional scales of major and minor. So this is not only a wonderful piece to understand how whole tones apply, but to get them in your fingers. You'll become a more versatile, expanded pianist because of it. And one of the ways I like to practice is block chord in clusters. So starting at the last system of page 1, this may sound a little dissonant to you. It is. But this is how you get it in the finger memory. And go the other way. Come up. It's very good. Take a passage. If it's descending, make it go ascending. So you really get this in your fingers. Very, very great passage. Listen to this. Oh, and I love the thumbs that I use here. Watch the right hand and the left, the right, the left. Isn't that wonderful? And then we have our page 2. That's your working copy. Your page 2, starting. This is kind of haunting, isn't it? This D flat, down a half step, up to E, down a half step, and then up to G natural. And there's the first rest. It's lovely. It's whimsical. So those passages here, starting at the top of page 2, slowly. I'm bringing out this line in the tenor. So we have now when I play it all together, listen for those two. Fast, it's kind of hard to hear, but it's in there. First section. Now looking at our page 2 with my color version here. And by the way, this is a 6-page chart which you can get as digital downloads from my website sallychristianmusic.com. These colors you get also in your other wonderful supply, maybe my favorite part of the entire chart package, the satellite view. And this has all of the colors that I needed to use in order to understand the different sections of the piece. Let's take a quick look at this. And this, by the way, was printed on my home printer. These are just your regular 8.5 by 11 size sheets. I didn't even have to go out to get these printed, and it's very nice. The first 44 measures of the piece I put in this big pink box because that is the opening A section where he's giving the overview in the F sharp minor and all of the whole tones, the half tones. He's giving a lot of what he's going to be using for the entire piece in this first section A. Now, there is a section B, which I put in the blue box, and a section C, which I put in the green. And there's a wonderful 12 measure section in the yellow box, which is, I think, one of the most passionate and gorgeous parts in the entire piece. And then the recapitulation here in the pink. These two pink lines here, this system 1 and 2, are identical to here with one big difference. The first ending goes one way and the second ending goes another. That's marked for you. And now, how does he connect these big sections together? Well, he uses what I call an episode. And I put the episode material in an orange box, and that's where we are right now in the piece. And the episode in this piece is built on continuous whole tone writing. And then it also has a very clever ending that uses whole tone passages and diatonic passages. Whole tone and diatonic. And they take turns, ascending, descending, ascending, descending, and then the second episode is reversed. Descending, ascending. That's in the episode. It isn't found any other place in the piece. So, let's put this back and look at the working copy. Starting at measure 45, the pickup to 45. Slowly we have this. And that's exactly how the piece began. Just down the octave. So it's the... But it keeps going. Connector and repeats again up the octave. That's your first episode. Now underneath that is this in the left hand. And then repeats up the octave. And Fauré chose those notes, D, A sharp, A natural, as his episode motive. And in the next line, he's building those identical notes like this. That was up a whole step, wasn't it? Up another whole step. Up another whole step. And that comprises the first episode with that episode motive. But there's more to it than that. Hands together at the beginning of the episode. Did you hear it buried in there? Now the plot thickens. To show you this part. The right hand alone, starting in measure 53. And this is what I'm looking at here. This measure 53 to 60. These are 8 measures of some of the most intricate, complicated, and demanding writing that is going to take a great deal of study to learn. And this is what I call getting it in the rote memory of the fingers. And this is why. Because the first measure starts with the descending whole tone scale. Then it goes up a step. These are all whole tone scales, descending. And finally, you know why that's hard? Because every one of those has different fingerings, and it's not in the finger memory of traditional music. So it's a brand new set of patterns we have to learn. Now in between those descending whole tone scales, he does ascending diatonic connector arpeggios. Complicated. And they sound like this. The next one. The next one. These are all a whole step apart. And the final one, instead of going up, goes down. And that's the end of the episode. Now if you put that slowly, the right hand only, as written, this is what these 8 measures sound like. learn this, I had to do many, many steps. I'm going to break it down into a few of them for you now. In 2/4 time, we have the beat notes of 1, 2, 1, 2. And I'm going to call out beat note fingerings. So you can hear that the numbers I'm calling out do not repeat ever in the same pattern. And this is what you need to commit to memory. All right, beat note fingerings. 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 3, 1, 2, 4, 5. And slowly you're going to increase your tempo and perhaps break it down as a unit of 4. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, stop. 1, 2, 3, 4, stop. Then you do the same thing with beat 2 to 1. And that will be 1, 2, 1, 3, 2, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. This is very hard out of context to do this. 1, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1, 2, 1. 4, 3, 2, 1, 5. This is a minefield. It's like a game of chess. But it's fun once it gets in the hand. It's really, really fun. You can practice in rhythms. That's a great way. 2, 2, 1. 1, 3, 1. 2, 4, 5. Lots of ways. Now let's put that all together and see what it sounds like. These are the 8 measures where we're really gearing up. Oh, listen. Oh, this is so gorgeous. Did you know that Fauré loved the bass? And being an organist, he was very aware of the pedals, which is a bass line in itself. So he was always working with 3 lines, the right hand, the left hand, and the feet, which is an additional bass line. And this section, the B section of page 3, favors the bass and has a very wonderful, a little unsettling kind of writing. Let me play that by itself. Up a step. Which brings us to the final episode. Along with the idea of the bass awareness that Fauré had, he was said to have told Marguerite Long, who was the chief champion of his music. He wrote a lot of things for her, and she adored his music and gave many of the premieres. And he used to tell her, the bass line is with us. And that's really a profound statement because so much of the literature favors the right hand. You know, our Mozart sonatas are all right hand dominant, with the left hand hardly playing anything of importance except accompanimental chords. But with Fauré, it's completely different. The bass becomes many times the defining and dominant part of the piece. And I hear that in this section right here. Looking at your music here on our page 3, I'd like to point out the absolute grid-like quality of this piece. 8 measures, system 1. 8 measures, system 2. 8 measures, system 3. 8 measures, system 4. Some pieces are like this. You could actually set your metronome and count and not lose a beat for the entire thing and have 8 measure phrases for the entire piece. This one is like that. Some of Bach is like that also. So having this addition to work from makes it enormously helpful because none of these 8 measure phrases are ever interrupted. You see them in the full length of what they are. So now this section B has something interesting. Remember at the beginning of the piece we had those half notes. Well, he's doing those same half notes with a shared hand melody here now for the first time, and it sounds like this. Variation. Next line. Up a whole step. Sounds pretty tonality, doesn't it? Sounds like that, but it isn't when you have this. Oh my gosh. That's wild, isn't it? I think it is. Now the right hand is doing this non-stop 16th note material. That was the first 8 measures. You put the hands together. Now it repeats. Up a whole step. This is a sequence. Identical material, just a whole step higher. That's the end of that pattern. Now we get a whole series of half-step patterns with the right hand. Up a half step. Another half step. And another. And the left hand. And this is how to learn it. Hands alone. Look at the patterns. Call them out. Hear them. Identify them. Know the pitches. Know what a whole tone sounds like. Know what a half step chromatic sounds like. This is beginning the third system now. Left hand alone. Starting with the A. A sharp. These you have to watch these. Up to tempo, these become challenging to get. B. B sharp. And hands together there. This is all half steps now. Identical material, just happening 4 times, each ascending, 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 ascending. That's how you think of those 8 measures. And then up to tempo, that sounds. Now you get to hear the 3-note pattern, which is the mantra of the piece. Dee da dee, da da dee, dee da dee, dee da dee, leading to the episode. Oh, this is so great. Listen to this left hand here. And that's going to connect us to that beautiful 12-measure section that I put in the yellow box. And what precedes that? Our episode again with the continuous whole tone passages. The right hand. This is, see, he's weaving in some chromatic there. That's not, this is all whole tone. But it stops here. Watch this. For the first time and only time in the piece, he's giving us the 2 whole tone scales. Back to back. This one. And then right away, I think there's some humor in here. I really think he's having fun with it. And now how does he connect those? Well, the ascending whole tone scale, number 1. Comes down diatonic with an F major. And then the other whole tone scale, ascending and E major. That's another one to get in the fingers. And then you put the hands together. This is the end of our last episode. This is the part of the piece that I just love so much. I think this was the part that made me want to learn the piece. Right here. These. And I marked in mine in pencil 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 measure phrases. 6 times 2, 12 measures. Let's look at these 12 measures. The working copy. Here they are, top of page 4. 8 measures here and 4. There are your 12. I couldn't fit all 4 here. But this is what that 12 measure unit really is. And it's really got a lot going on. It's got these 3 voices, soprano, tenor, bass. And we're going to analyze every one separately. The soprano sounds like this. That's the first unit, 2 measures. Then, third one, fourth one, fifth one, and the close, 6th. Well, he brought us back to F sharp. Can you guess what's coming? Yes, the recapitulation, exactly. So he set it up with this beautiful 12 measure descent. Now, the soprano also is shared, actually it's 4-part harmony because the alto has these 16th notes. The soprano is holding. I'd like to point out something that is important in any kind of music. When you see double stems, the same note with an upward stem and a lower stem, it always means that note is shared with 2 voices. And so therefore the quarter note upward stem is the soprano, the downward stem 16th note is the alto, but you must sustain the quarter note. You must hold down that finger of the soprano line. So that sounds like this. But it's 2 voices. Very beautiful. Hear the pathos in this. It's crying. Coming down. I like to block it. So you really get this in your fingers and in your ears. And then you can sing it. The bass, I'm going to redistribute. The left hand is going to be for the bass part and the right hand is going to be for the tenor. Now hang on here. This is the bass line is with us. Here we go. This is quite shocking. It jumps out of nowhere. You hear that leap? Those are 2 voices. Bass, tenor, bass, tenor. Dissonance. And then see the meaning in this. There's so much meaning here, and these dissonances are crying out. You know, at this point in Fauré's life, 1906, he was beginning to deal with this most awful of afflictions that a musician could ever have to deal with, and that is he was going deaf. And so these dissonances that you hear in the music actually reflected his inner anguish. And he's crying out, oh, why is this? Against fate, why? Why is this happening? But it came out in his music in a profound way. He wouldn't have written like this otherwise. Well, let me show you what that part looks like playing as written with all of that with the left hand. expect is that, but he leaves off the A. And if we put the hands all together now here, let me do it one more way here, because I did this a lot in practicing, blocking the right hand. And then you put it together, you've got it in the memory, you've got it in here, where it has to be. This is a rote piece. Finger memory, tactile memory, it's one of the memories we have. And in a tour de force piece like this, a non-stop perpetual motion toccata piece, is pretty much all finger memory, or at least a big part of it. Put the music in. It's speaking. Now, ready? Here's the second time, B flat. Whole tone scale going up to end. And that's what I was talking about earlier, where you have the second ending. And you've got to say that. This happens so fast. This is one of those cases where it's a switch for the railroad crossings, and the first time it goes to the left and the second time it goes to the right. The first time the B's. The second time quite a bit different. You don't want to get stuck there and take the wrong turn. So the second time you say to yourself, up to B flat with the right hand. B flat. Okay, and that takes us now to page 5. We have 2 more pages, page 5 and 6, and we're starting the C section. Showing you the music, another grid pattern. 8 measures, 8 measures, 8 measures. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a repetition. 1, 2, 3, 4, and new material, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's break it down in those 8 measure systems. We have in the soprano these chords as blocked chords. And a connector measure, and then the repetition of the same 3. Descending, whole tones, and the connector. Second system. Identical, just up a half step. Connector. And half step. A little different there. Connector. And connector, which is augmented. Now, the bass. Beautiful. Repetition. And as written. And then up a step. Let's put the hands together now slowly. Identical. Now he's taking it up a whole step to the D, half step up to the D sharp. And another half step up to the E. Augmented. Now it gets more complex here. We're almost at the end of the piece. So he's saving these expanded and clashing and gorgeous harmonies for the end of the piece. And if I block that, right hand, the left hand. Very beautiful. That's what's in there. And then this is even more wild. Those are strict jazz chords. This is 1906. Okay, I'm going to put the hands together now for this whole page so you can hear how it leads into the final progression on page 6. This is the C section now. Here's the top of page 6. The hands are coming together. Gorgeous chords. Listen to this progression in the left hand. These are 9 chords. Very beautiful. And the soprano. A major, B major, D, 6/4, G major, diminished, and augmented. You see how he's combining the tonality? Traditional harmonies, A major, B major, D major, G major, and then diminished, augmented. And 9 chords in the bass, followed by 2/10. I love to take the outer outline too of the bass there. This is the last of our expanded chords. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 measures, and I hear these in pairs, and I marked my music with these big 2 measure phrases. I think that's what they are. Speaking to each other, this pair, yes, that's the 9th. This pair, see how dissonant? Oh my. And this pair with the 10ths. Now, I had an interesting conversation with my husband the other day, preparing for this lesson, and I actually showed him some of these things, and he said, well, that's great, but if I don't hear it when you actually play it up to tempo, why do I need to know that? And we had a very interesting discussion, which brings me to a point that I'd like to make, and that is called our intention, of how we project the intentionality of something. For instance, a vibrato on a note. If we play it, it sounds like a stagnant flat note, but we know it's really, it has a little tremor to it. It's got movement and life to it. So when we play it, we'll hear the vibrato. The same with this. If you're playing it fast, having played it slowly, knowing that these are in there, you're going to project that and maybe go to it a little bit more. That one, and this one, and that one. Now it's going so fast, you're not going to really hear it, especially with the right hand. But you can work with it a little bit and push that into it. And one last whole tone descending passage. This is all whole tone until here. And then he repeats it down the octave. That's another good one to block. So you get that in the hand. This is. Then you get it in the memory. This is great. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. That's beautiful. Put it together. Slowly. And the final ascending whole tone passage. Look at how he does this. This is great. There's the last rest of 2. Then the coda. This is also, I think, a little humorous. And one last flourish. And you're out. These chords, it's a 4 chord and a 3 chord, expanded, and then a 5 and a 1. So a little bit of tonality at the end. Great piece. Wonderful piece. So I hope this has been helpful for you. It's just great to know that this piece exists. And the image that I have of it is the hummingbird that's in flight more of the time. 90% of the time the hummingbird is in flight. And every now and then, if you watch carefully, you'll see him land on a branch. And every now and then, twice in this piece, you'll get that split second of silence. Have fun with this piece. Thank you.